What is up, everybody? We are back and we're here to talk about the Sentry. It's the first golf tournament of 2025. I'm officially recording this on New Year's Eve. So happy New Year to everyone that is listening to this. And yeah, cheers to a big and profitable 2025 for those of us that love PGA DFS and PGA betting. Now, this week's event only featured 60 golfers. And even though it's a great field, Scheffler withdrew, Rory McIlroy withdrew, Tommy Fleetwood withdrew, and Shane Lowry withdrew. Now, we still have 60 very good golfers in the field, and we do have a shot tracker for all 4 rounds. This event does not feature a cut, so all golfers are going to be guaranteed to play 4 rounds. So if you want to do chase birdie makers or chase the volatile guys that have some more upside, especially in tournaments, I certainly don't mind taking that approach this week. Now, let's talk about the course. It's in Hawaii. It's a plantation course at Kapalua. This is a par 73, so a rare par 73, 5 par 5s on the venue or at the venue. And golfers just eat this place alive. I mean, since the redesign in 2020, we've had 4 events, right? And it's been the easiest course on the PGA Tour every single year. Typically, we see some variation between, the easiest and, maybe the top 5 easiest. There's typically some movement in the leaderboard between those due to weather or just due to the field, whatever it may be. But for whatever reason, this is played as the easiest course on the PGA Tour. And yes, this includes like the Bermuda and all those other, really weak field events that are, are really easy courses. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to make a lot of birdies to contend here. Now, the course is 7,600 yards on the scorecard, but it does not play that long. Due to the elevation changes off the tee, as well as the rolling hills on the fairway, you're going to see a ton of long drives. You're going to see some 400-plus yard drives this week. So it does not play that long. We've seen a lot of shorter hitters win here in the past, including Chris Kirk last year. Each of the last 4 winners have been at least 2,500 par. As far as the course itself, the fairway is very wide, 43 yards wide on average. The greens, massive, 8,700 square feet on average. The greens and regulation rate last year was 82%, which really lowers the importance of around the green play and scrambling. So for me, with all the golfers hitting greens and regulation, I'm putting more of an emphasis on approach play and good putting. Typically in these birdie fests, you have to putt well. It's going to be hard to gain like 20 strokes on the field just with ball striking. So you're going to have to get hot with the putter, and you're going to have to take advantage of the par 5s. Now, let's get into the model. If you're new, welcome. We'd love to have you. And if you are just watching on YouTube and just watching this, you're not an RG Premium member, we'd love to have you join the crew. You get access to this model. You get to download it. You get to play with the weights and come up with your own rankings. And then as you can see here, there's a little upload tab on the very bottom. So the weights that you play with here in the very first row, they will change the ratings here. And then you can upload these right into Lineup HQ, right into our optimizer on RotoGrinders, and make lineups based on your own input, which is very rare in this day and age of DFS. You can have a direct impact on the output of your lineups, which I think is pretty cool. It's one of my favorite parts of DFS, even though a lot of people just lean on optimizers and projections of other people. If you want to take matters into your own hands, download the model, customize it to how you like it, and then go with it from there. So this week I have 6% off the tee, 3% to total driving, 3% to strokes gained approach, 3% to around the green. If you want to just put 0% around the green, I certainly don't hate it. I have a pretty good weight to putting just because, again, birdie fests tend to be more of a putting contest than anything. You're going to have to hit it well too, but putting is going to be very critical with everyone hitting these greens in regulation. 7% weight to birdie or better, and then 5% weight to bogey avoidance. Course history, I put it at 5%. You can probably lower this a little bit if you aren't a course history truther. The only miscellaneous factor that I have this week is strokes gained on easy and very easy courses. You can sign up for the Rabbit Hole, part of BetSperts. We have a link in the description if you want to check that out. It's my favorite stat engine to use. They have all kinds of filters. So this week I'm just using strokes gained on easy and very easy courses. JT Poston, number 1, Benyon, number 2, Eric Cole, 3, Davis Thompson, 4, and Aaron Rye, 5. And these are 2 of my favorite value plays here in Eric Cole and Aaron Rye. Cuts and recent made finishes. This is just, this actually doesn't go into the model. There's not a weight for this. It's just to show you how often golfers are playing and their recent form. So somebody like, let's sort at the very top. Somebody like Xander hasn't played in 8 weeks. There's a couple golfers like Tony Finau who hasn't played in quite some time. And there's other golfers who have played quite a bit in the last couple months. Somebody like Matt McNeely's played 5 times in the last 9 weeks. So especially with the long layoff, I do like looking for golfers that at least have one decent finish in the last couple months, just to show that they've had some tournament reps and all that. Now we have how often a golfer finishes in the top 5% of the field that they're playing in, top 10% of the field, top 25% of the field. And I do this rather than, so these are just like the pure strokes gain numbers. But they don't always tell the full story, right? So if somebody withdraws, then he's going to have like the worst strokes gained per round of anyone in the field, or if they just have a bad week, whatever it may be. But let's say they withdraw 3 times, but then they also finish in the top 5 in 6 tournaments or whatever. Their average stroke gain per round isn't going to look as good as their top 5% finish rate, which is really what we're worried about. We want high ceiling, especially if we're playing tournaments. So if you want to look for upside, I would bump up this column. I would bump up this column. This is more of a floor play. And then this is just the raw stroke gain numbers over the short term, midterm, and long term form. I put them each at 7%. You can definitely bump these down to like 4% and bump these all up if you want to chase more upside. And then this column here shows how good the fields each golfer is playing in. So somebody like Max Grazerman, his stroke gain numbers are going to look awesome, especially over the last 3 months, 6 months, because he's been playing so well. I think he has 3 runner-ups in his last 6 starts, but he's playing in very weak fields. So what this does is it helps equalize golfers that only play in strong fields compared to golfers that only play in weak fields. So his projections are actually going to get hit. So right now he's 13th in the model. If I didn't have this in here, he would be 7th in the model. So it kind of just shows that he's been playing in such easy fields that now that he's playing in a better field, he's got to get discounted for those results in the past that he's had at easier fields, if that makes sense. So I put that at 10%. Let's get to the overall rankings. I will have the notes back eventually, probably after the first few rounds of the NFL playoffs. I'll probably bring the notes back. Try to give like 50 to 60 notes on golfers. A lot of people like them. A lot of people like to read them. So I will bring those back once the NFL playoffs kind of wind down a little bit. At the very top, we have Xander Schauffele, pretty far ahead of the next best guy, Colin Morikawa, rating 92 compared to 83 for Morikawa. No issue with Xander whatsoever. No issue with Morikawa whatsoever. Neither one has played in quite a while. Both have pretty good track record at this course. Morikawa slightly better. I think they're both solid. I love Aberg in tournaments. Since returning from his knee injuries, finished T17 at the RSM and then T6 at the Hero. Didn't play great here last year, but yeah, I actually bet on him this week at 16-1. Also bet on Sung J M at 20-1. So he has finished top 13 or better in 12 of his last 16 starts on the PGA Tour. And that doesn't include a win over in Korea. So he's been playing some great golf. He's gaining strokes in all facets. Projects well. He's not overly expensive. He could either be the first or second guy into your lineups. I'm not as high on Sam Burns. He does project as a pretty high or pretty good value. He is a very good putter. Hasn't had the best track record here. Wasn't great at the Hero. Remember, there were only like 17, probably 19 golfers at the Hero. So 14th out of 19th isn't great. And that's another reason why these are so nice, is because they take into account field size too. So a top 10 at the Hero doesn't mean anything really, because there's only 19 golfers in the field. So yeah, that wouldn't count for a top 10% finish. So if there's 156 golfers, 160 golfers in the field, they'd have to finish T16 or better to get a top 10% finish at that event. Moving down, Adam Scott projects well. Hideki, I worry about Hideki in an event where you have to make a lot of putts, so I probably won't play any Hideki. Henley's the guy that always plays well at the other Hawaii event, the Sony Open next week. I'll probably save him for that. I don't hate him this week, but I do think he sets up a lot better for next week's course. It's more of a precision accuracy type of course. Corey Connors always has a high floor. Tigala played pretty well at the Hero, was T2 here last year. Don't mind looking at him in tournaments. Benny On's been playing some great golf over the last year or so. Finished T4 at this event last year. So JT is the guy that does not project well, but I do think it's a really good spot for him. He was second in his last full field start, third at the Hero, and then he won this event in 2020. Also have a couple other top 5 finishes. Really think it's a very good spot for Justin Thomas. grazing him again. I do like him in tournaments. He's like one of the best putters in the field and one of the best birdie makers in the field. He's never played this event, but I'm not too worried about that. Again, Aaron Rai, great point per dollar option. Doesn't look like he's going to garner a bunch of ownership. So if that's the case, I certainly like him. If you play Eric Cole and Aaron Rai, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the rest of your roster. And I do love Eric Cole. Anytime you get him in easy courses, as you can see here, one of the best in the field, makes a ton of birdies, coming in with back-to-back top 15 finishes. Cantlay, he just hasn't been great over the last year of play. Wyndham Clark, he's struggled over the last 6 months. I do like Pendrith. He's been playing some good golf. Poston always seems to play well in Hawaii. He's got 3 top 21 finishes at this event in a row. Coming off of back-to-back top 5 finishes. Anytime you get a course where chipping isn't that important, I do think Victor Hovland deserves some consideration. He hasn't played for forever. Same with Tony Finau. I'm less inclined to play Finau just because he's coming off of a knee injury. And Hovland, I can't remember what he's dealing with, but probably won't have a ton of him, even though I do like him on these courses where greens are pretty easy to hit, just because he's not going to have to chip very often. Noren rates out pretty well for me. Billy Horschel, always a guy that I don't mind playing on Bermuda greens. We haven't seen him in a little bit. Matt McNeely coming off the win. Brian Harman played great here last year. I think he finished top 5. Was T16 the year before. So don't mind looking at Brian Harman. We have seen shorter hitters contend here, like I said. Cam Young got off to such a great start at the Hero and then finished T13 out of 19 golfers. Not great. Not great, Cam Young. We all want him to be great, but he just hasn't been. And that's probably it for me. I mean, if you're playing large field stuff, you can certainly mix and match some of these other guys like Zuden out. Vegas kind of projects as a nice value. Maybe Cam Davis. He's very hit or miss, but does have some upside. So appreciate you guys joining me this week for the Sentry. Want to wish everyone the best of luck. Again, my bets for the week, Ludwig Aberg plus 1,600, as well as Sung Jae Im plus 2,000. It'd be great to start off with an outright win. Best of luck, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions. You can hit me up on Twitter or on the RG Discord. We'd love to have you be a part of that golf channel too, and that is free for everyone to join. So good luck, everybody. Catch you back here next week for the Sony Open.